is alive. As I'm spitting my pain, I'm just giving you game. If you don't remember one thing, just remember the name is Franks. I'm up now and the feeling is strange. We was just living days, making minimum wage. Now the center of stage when that pen hit the page. If you don't remember one thing, just remember the name. Papa Joe taught me all the things that make a man. Malcolm X taught me all the ways to take a stand. Dr. Paul encouraged to let my brain expand. That's why I'm my worst critic and my greatest fan. Yeah, I'm the new age revolutionaries. What you trying to do? Build a better future, clearly. We protesting cause this fight never ended. It's feeling like the new civil rights that we live in. If you sell a little white, you get life in the prison. But if you're scared...
What's going on, world? My name is Aimé Mukendi Jr, aka Sir Amazing, and I'm very thankful to have been a part of such a powerful research project that was started by Cornell University, funded by the New York State Department of Health. That was really trying to focus in on a lot of the issues that are going on in the inner city, specifically with our young men. This research project allowed me to go into schools all across the city of Buffalo and some in Niagara Falls and survey 12 to 14-year-old young men on healthy masculinity. And these topics touched on a lot, everything from how often these young men were watching porn to making fun of girlfriends to how they're dealing with those who may identify in the LGBTQ community, all types of questions. But with everything that happened in 2020, it opened up a new idea, a greater understanding of what this project in the visual aspect could bring. It was going to allow me to speak with some of the great men who dedicated their time, their thoughts, and their minds to these young men in the city of Buffalo. But it also allowed for me to connect with some other men that have had success as Black men in the United States of America in the spheres that we so often associate masculinity with: finance, fitness, and we even touch on relationships and healing. So I'm really interested to embark on this journey with you. I thank you for tuning in, and I don't really want to say too many more words.
This program reminds me so much of that program, and it has the potential to do so much in the city.
I don't think I know, because there are no safe spaces for them to engage one another in these type of discussions about manhood, about masculinity. And I mean, they may create spaces from for example, I've seen organizations, religious organizations that create space for men, but there's still some limits to those particular type of spaces because of the religious component. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They're not engaging one another in schools because that's not the type of content that's included in the curriculum. It's more of a focus on these New York State standards. So where are they having these conversations? They're not having it in their household. They're not having it on the streets, because if they're amongst their own peers, a lot of times that's an echo chamber. Mm-hmm. So they don't have somebody that is in a position that's helping facilitate discussions around ideas that they may have never considered before. So I know it's important because they don't have spaces like this at all to discuss any of these topics about identity, about masculinity, about healthy relationships with their peers and their female counterparts.
I think masculinity for Black men is one-sided. You know what I mean? I think you should, just as much as they, press, oh, you should be tough, you should be this, you should be that, you have to show that other side, that vulnerability. It takes a certain kind of man to be able to show that, to be okay with not being okay. And for nobody to look at you like, oh man, this dude, he's soft. Because growing up, if you showed any kind of too much of an emotion that made you vulnerable. It was like, oh, he saw if you weak. That's somebody who's emotionally intelligent, and not to be a sexist or anything, but it's okay for females. Why can't it be okay for us? That needs to become a new norm, to where you can go to somebody, hey man, I'm not okay. And nobody look at you with 3 eyes like, oh man, you just bugging. It's those things that don't get discussed frequently in our culture. And I mean, myself.
They have a lot less opportunities for education in general because of Buffalo Public Schools, but then also just like because of systemic racism and things like that, they lose a lot of opportunities that other people in the suburbs might have access to. And so I think this program is really great because it kind of gives them this opportunity to learn something about like community and brotherhood and connection in like a safe environment where they can like kind of express these feelings that they may not be able to express in other environments that they're part of.
A lot of the young men nowadays are growing up without a good role model in their home. So a lot of our young men are missing that, and that's not to say that a father is present or absent, because he could be present and still not be a good role model. And so, you know, programs like this, you know, through their process of selecting who facilitates, places a young man and to be a direct recipient of, you know, the knowledge and the insight that a good role model can provide to them.
I believe we're no longer afraid to have a truth, and men need that. You have to have your own truth, and you have to be willing to stand on your own truth. And another beautiful part of that is, I don't even have to agree with it, but I do have to know that's your truth. There may come a time where I have to call you on your truth, and will you still stand on it?
Their openness about personal issues, and I also would say their emotional intelligence did increase, because now you have someone who looks like you modeling it, you know, in a way where it's language appropriate. They're speaking from a place of intelligence and integrity, you know what I mean? So now they have a model, a standard, like again, seeing this individual in that position, okay, I see it can be done. So them actually just wanting to be open and actually looking forward to having those conversations, it was almost like it was therapeutic for them. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the times, even when I was growing up, I didn't feel like I was heard often. I could be complaining about something or feel a way about something, and my mom would just be, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? Or my older brother would be whatever, and my younger brothers was too young to understand. So being that middle child and not having, I had a couple of people to lean on, but still in a way where somebody who's aspiring to do the things that I want to do, and they're already set in that position, it helps, because with those kids, I seen them shift from, why am I here, to, damn, I can't wait to slide back to this spot because this dude actually get me, he understand me, you know. And I wanted them to hear from someone other than myself. They see me every day, so they could just think I'm just be feeding them game just to keep them encouraged, when in reality, this is just not how I feel like things should move. This is another black man telling you what it is out here.
They're being introduced to new social norms, you know? So you're gonna see a change in some degree, because you're putting them in a space and introducing them to new customs and new ways in which they interact with each other. And a lot of times these are ideas and it's information that they've never even considered before, you know? So you see those type of changes immediately because you're setting the stage and you're setting the environment with these new social norms, right? But the goal is, how can we sustain this? How can this become a part of culture and not a class that, oh yeah, I took this class before, that was a good class.
Keeping it rolling.
Yeah, because again, we're talking about a trajectory. We're reaching these boys that they've already been on a trajectory with these ideas about what it means to be a man, or what is masculine, and they're constantly being inundated with other ideas from the society that may not have their best interests at heart.
Openness about personal issues. And I also would say their emotional intelligence did increase, because now you have someone who looks like you modeling it, you know, in a way where it's language appropriate. They're speaking from a place of intelligence and integrity, you know what I mean? So now they have a model, a standard, like, again, seeing this individual in that position. Okay, I see it can be done.
One that I really love is the one where it's like, if this has happened to you, step in the box, right? And they go through like all these different scenarios. And so at first, like a lot of the youth are like really, they don't know if they should step in the box, if they should be truthful or not. And then like they see a couple kids like being truthful, and so they start to be more truthful. And then they notice like, oh, my friends have the same experience I have. Maybe we can talk about it, right? Or maybe that like connects us a little bit more, because I know that they have similar experiences to me, and I thought I was alone in this, and I'm not alone in this. So I think that's really a great part of it.
Just, man, that curriculum was solid to me. You know, if used properly and given, you know what I'm saying? If used properly, you use the preparation, even the icebreakers. It was good. It gave me a great guide to use with them. The activities were on point. Like I said, the icebreakers and the activities, and how the activities laid into the questions and stuff like that. So that was definitely one of the main strengths of the program. As far as our opening, the part of their ritual, when we did the opening, they did the little handshake, man, and they did their little handshake thing, and they ended it up and said, "Kobe for life." Because that was right on the heels when he had passed, you know what I'm saying? And so that was every session, they boom, boom, Kobe for life, you know what I'm saying? I just like, wow, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, just seeing that type of stuff and, you know, defining like that, he was the hero, and, you know, what he stood for. And it's just like, man, it's amazing, man.
Up here, you're like, you're all on the same level. You're a little bit older, so you've had more experience. But you're not like telling them this is what's right, this is what's wrong. You're helping them try to figure out what they think is right and wrong. And so through like that kind of like safe circle kind of area is really, really important. And then having them, some of the activities too, like those team building activities are really important. Those activities that help them think about like, one that I really love is the one where it's like, if this has happened to you, step in the box, right? And they go through like all these different scenarios. And so at first, like a lot of the youth are like really, they don't know if they should step in the box, if they should be truthful or not. And then like they see a couple kids like being truthful, and so they start to be more truthful. And then they notice like, oh, my friends have the same experience I have. Maybe we can talk about it, right? Or maybe that like connects us a little bit more, because I know that they have similar experiences to me, and I thought I was alone in this, and I'm not alone in this. So I think that's really a great part of it. And then just some of like there's fun activities too, right? Like, so they have all these like games that kids play that they really enjoy playing, like the maze, or some of like the icebreakers that they really like, that aren't even like educational too much. They're just like, let's have fun together in this like safe environment. And I think that's really important too. It's not like a competition or anything like that. It's just us working together to have fun. And that's really important. And I think having this group kind of helped me open my eyes that, you know, some of the kids think this way, but then other kids think this way, and they have like much more thoughts and much more, you know, identities, individual identities, than a lot of people give them credit for. So just like being able to like work with them and like see how, you know, expansive they are, how many like this kid thinks one thing, this kid thinks another thing. I think that was really like eye-opening for me personally. There's a few strengths, right? There's like the format of the program. And like the idea of having like everybody equal and having like a facilitator instead of an educator, so that the youth feel like you're kind of part of the group, not so much like someone who's like bestowing knowledge on them. Yeah. Like you're not up here, you're like, you're all on the same level. You're a little bit older, so you've had more experience, but you're not like telling them this is what's right, this is what's wrong. You're helping them try to figure out what they think is right and wrong. It's really great because it kind of gives them this opportunity to learn something about like community and brotherhood and connection in like a safe environment where they can like kind of express these feelings that they may not be able to express in other environments that they're part of.
It has to be a part of a lifestyle. It's a good way. It's a good introduction. I mean, I teach 6th grade right now. You know what I'm saying? And these students are learning math a whole year. You know, they're learning language arts a whole year. You know, they call that academic slide in the summertime because they're not being engaged academically throughout the summer. So a lot of that, they like, yeah, whatever, I forget, you know. And it's like, we talking about 10 weeks with something this important and significant. It has to be minimally a class that these boys can take at school. Minimally. You know what I'm saying? It has to be something that is a part of their culture. We're changing the culture of these boys.
Like, we can't fix it in just these 10 sessions. So definitely like expanding past the 10 sessions and continuing having like a healthy role model that these kids can look up to and talk to and ask questions about. One that like kind of like has their own healthy masculinity down. I think is really great and can be like really beneficial, but this is not going to be a fix. Like, this is just one step in like a longer process that needs to happen.
And everything. So it really takes things to that next level because, and to wrap everything up, this speaks to everything though, right? Because we still we're conditioned as men. We just keep it moving. Like that's our whole issue, right? Like, yeah, I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna teach you how to tie your shoe, I'm gonna teach you how to wipe your face, and then you gotta figure it out on your own instead of being like, oh, you know what? Okay, so the other day I ran into a knot. I got a knot in my shoe. How do I get the knot out? You know what I'm saying?
How can this become a part of culture and not a class that, oh yeah, I took this class before, that was a good class.
Keeping it rolling.
Yeah, because again, we're talking about a trajectory. We're reaching these boys that they've already been on a trajectory with these ideas about what it means to be a man or what is masculine, and they're constantly being inundated with other ideas from the society that may not have their best interests at heart. So they're on this trajectory already. Once we reach them at that age, we're introducing them to some ideas why they're on that trajectory. You know, so we're gonna see some changes just simply because you're introducing them to some new social norms. But based upon the trajectory that they're already on, some of those things may already align with what they've been learning in a healthy way. Other things may be the complete antithesis of what they've been learning already, which means it's gonna require more time and more of an investment in these boys in order to make that switch in that trajectory.
I just want to remind you all of this, that when you think about Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, remember that before we saw them on a social media screen or news screen or heard about their stories, they were a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old little black boy in the United States of America without a safe space to share their minds and their souls, without an opportunity to express some of their thought processes, without the opportunity to connect with a lot of other people that look just like them. So I hope that this opens up a multitude of conversations and provides more opportunities for this particular program, Brothers as Allies, to be had and used throughout schools, programs, teams across the country. Let's shift up together.
Combo with my toxic masculinity. You taught me the art of concealment, but never the strokes of its healing. Thanks to you, I became a master at hiding my feelings. Worst part is I couldn't even see then how I was feeding this inner demon, drowning in an ocean of emotions that I suppress. Numerous moments that I didn't express, internalizing hurt while dealing with the stress, all because you were the one I wanted to impress. The normalcy has made me numb to the stress, feeling like a sinner that's mad at God, a fool not realizing the self-sabotage, lying on my resume just so I can grab a job, trying to work on self, but I kept missing days, only to grow a callous man with inconsistent ways. So many tears I wanted to shed, but I fought for fear of what other people thought. The daggers of the judgment were just too sharp. My misguided manhood was hard to part. Never saying I love you buried my heart. Not knowing how years to come this hollowed me. And to this day you haunt and follow me. Now I be alpha male that lift weights, allowing precautionary love to dictate, leaving trails of broken hearts at a quick rate. My compassion has been misplaced, with an attitude to never let anyone disgrace. My respect to ensure my reputation inflates, fueled by aggression, driven by your ego, never wanting to be viewed as unequal, non-expression of love.